All right. Good morning, everyone. Brad Roltgen here with the Fresno Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency Investors Group. Today, we are talking about the dreaded taxes that we got to pay with our taxes every year. And so we're going to be looking at some tools to help report those. The challenging thing is when we're doing these exchanges back and forth between, Bitcoin and Ethereum, or Ethereum and Litecoin, or whatever to whatever, is each of those are a taxable transaction. So we got to keep track of them. And it's not the easiest thing to do, even in a spreadsheet, because we also have to keep track of those trades in US dollars. And when we're trading Ethereum to Litecoin, for example, well, how much is each of those worth in dollars at that instant we did the exchange? So that's what makes it challenging to do. Fortunately, there's a lot of tools out there to make this a little bit easier. And every year there's a few more. This year I ran across the one from crypto.com that looks to be actually free for, whatever and in whichever exchanges, wallets that you're using. I ran across the one that had teamed up with Bittrex. That one was kind of limited to your Bittrex transactions, so that one wasn't as good. We just had Dustin share this crypto tax calculator with us. But let me start by, well, first of all, anybody else use any other tools, just to kind of get them all on the list here before we get started? Chris, is there any ones that you particularly used?
Well, let me just preface this by saying I'm relatively new when it comes to this tax stuff. This is my second year. The first year was a disaster. I only used spreadsheets, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is overwhelming." This year, I guess for 2022, I used Crypto Ledger, and I found it very challenging. But also, once you're able to figure out how to create the spreadsheets, for example, using Atomic Hub, you purchase WaxP, use WaxP to buy NFTs, and I was able to kind of create the spreadsheets to enter into CoinLedger. They also have the APIs, but I was able to do that, and once I was able to master that, I use CoinLedger permanently now.
Okay, so is that coinledger.com IO app?
1 second. It is. I have it here. 1 second. Right. Oh, you know what's happening? I know what's happening. It is. I was getting your screen mixed up with my screen. It's it's hilarious. CoinLedger.io.
Okay, so yeah, the first thing I want to do is get all these on our Google Doc that we've got going for notes on this. CoinLedger.io. Okay. Okay, yeah, we've got a few to run through here. So okay, this is good. First of all, let me show the one I've been using for years. Where did it go? CoinTracking.io. Unfortunately, it's got some miscalculations here. I unfortunately don't have $392 million or 19,000 Bitcoin. This one and some other ones will pick up these kind of fake coins. Here's one that got airdropped that it thinks is Monero, and it says I've got 2 million of those, which I don't, unfortunately. And here's some other ones, TSE, I don't even know what that is, that kind of thing. So the challenge with some of these is getting these coins removed or pulled out of the report before you generate it, because obviously if I run a report that I've got $392 million, I'm probably going to come up with a tax number that's more than I really owe, kind of thing. So that's one of the downsides of these tools. And well, it's more the issue with the airdrops.
In my opinion, just based on my experience with CoinLedger, that's a red flag right there. CoinLedger only has what I put in it. No one else puts it in it. It's all on me. So if I report, or if I pull, do a different API, or if I put the wrong spreadsheet into it, then it's on me. And it would be a red flag if somebody else is putting stuff into my report, because if you miss something and it miscalculates, or if it misreports, that could be on you that somebody else did.
Right. Well, generally how these work is you'll connect them, like you mentioned, with an API or download a, CSV file of the transactions, and then
Uh,
you put those in. So
Gotcha.
if you can also just do a wallet. So if you've got,
Yes.
three BNB addresses that you use for different things, and you put all three of those in, and each of them gets an airdrop of 10,000 coins,
Hey,
you
okay, yeah,
know,
that's true. That's
those
true.
are the things. And I first experienced those on Tron network, and then they start happening on BNB, and I imagine they're everywhere because people are using those to try to scam folks.
Yeah, very
So
much so.
that's the thing. Just to point out to watch out for,
Yeah.
whether it's whichever one you're using. So what I do is or have done is just go through that report, and then where it says airdrop or received or whatever, usually you can delete the transaction
Mhm.
or pull it out of the report or whatever. So it's a little tedious process, especially when you've got 50 pages of 100 transactions each to do.
Mhm.
But we've got to be accurate, because if we're reporting it, it's on us. So that's
Exactly.
one thing just to watch out for. And it was easy to illustrate here. That other one, the coin tracker with Bittrex, it was straightforward and fairly easy to use, as far as throwing in the CSV and that kind of deal. But once I saw the pricing and stuff, it was like, oh, okay, this is really only good. Here we go. This Bittrex plan, you can do up to 1,000 Bittrex transactions, for $0. Which, if that's the only exchange you're using, and then maybe you've moved some funds from your Exodus wallet or Trust Wallet back and forth, that's all good. But if you're, even the hobbyist is 100 transactions, it's like, well, heck, that's nothing. So based on what I just uploaded to play with, it put me into this $179 plan, which is fine. But even 1,000, that's still kind of pricey. I had somehow done my transactions late last year, and I actually had my one payment for coin tracking I used for last year and this year. I don't know if I did an extension or what, or the timing when I subscribed, or maybe because I did it early this. Oh no, because I did it early this year, because I actually renew in March. So yeah, I did it regular last year. Okay. Anyway, you got pay attention to what the fees are and that kind of thing. So just to give you an idea on coin tracking, I was in here at the expert at 20,000 transactions, which was $20 a month billed yearly, which is, $230 or $240 kind of thing. So, and that's 20,000 transactions compared to this other one for, close to the same price, as only 1,000. So give you an idea there.
Hmm.
The crypto.com was pretty straightforward. You could add your wallet or an exchange, API, CSV, manually upload them, that kind of thing. Review, let's look at that review. Here we go. So on this one, it says I've got 190 issues. So they don't know, like, okay, here's the purchase history.
And those can be challenging, by the way.
Yeah. So, and it's kind of a can of worms, because I mean, I've got a number of wallets, a number of exchanges. And so it's real smooth. If, say, you transfer $100 to Coinbase, you buy $100 in Litecoin, you transfer that Litecoin to your Exodus wallet. Well, if you have your Coinbase and your Exodus wallet, in these tools, it says, oh yeah, that's just a transfer, just like you transferred $100 from Wells Fargo to Bank of America. There's no taxable, event there. But if you, in this case, if you don't have your Coinbase account in there, it just sees this, funds coming in to the Exodus wallet and goes, oh, somebody just gave you money. That's income.
Mhm.
When I was doing a lot of mining, that's how it would work. I had whatever wallet the mining rewards would go to, and those would be just like income, weekly, monthly, however often they came in, and that's how it was reported. All good. Um, So you want to have everything attached and synced up so it reports those correctly. Now you might get a lot of errors and you're like, oh yeah, I don't have Coinbase in there, and all these are funds that came into Coinbase, whether they came into my Exodus, my Trust, or whatever wallet kind of thing. Yeah, other ones, they don't know what they are, so they have to. Let's see what is going on. We cannot determine an appropriate category. Yeah, these were actually mining rewards on these. So if I, okay, here, if I change that to mining, now it's going to recalculate and do all that, which that's weird because some of them will, oh man. But if I have to go and do that on every Bitcoin Gold, now let's see if there's a way to do it like in bulk. You know, because if I, on those, I would get them like every 3 days. Oh, this is just a filter. Come on. Can I change that? Wait, is this mining? I don't know. FR, does that mean like France? No, I think this is a filter. I was trying to apply that mining thing to more than one, so I didn't have to do it on all of them.
Right.
Anyway, this is the kind of thing that you have to go through and do to kind of make everything correct on that. So yeah. Okay. Have you had to do that kind of thing as well, Chris?
So there are errors that you have to go and figure out. I know that I have received a lot of errors when it came to CoinLedger doesn't really, calculate NFTs. So you have to do like under and other, and it gives it like question mark, what are those? What was this purchase and all that stuff. So yes, there are a lot of errors you had to fix in CoinLedger as well. And it's tedious, but easier than this, I think.
Yeah, if you could, because there's, I forget, I used Zen Ledger last year because coin tracking didn't deal with the decentralized trades, but it did this year, and I didn't do too many, so I ended up just using coin tracking. Where last year I used cointracking.info and Zen Ledger and kind of had to summarize those for my CPA.
I think in this case, you have to go to BTG and categorize that. Therefore, the program knows what it is, as opposed to maybe, let's see, maybe select BTG rather than the, let's see.
Yeah, this is to edit the transaction.
That's
Yeah.
the transaction, yeah.
Yeah, because there was one where you would mark it.
So you have all currencies right now. So go to the other currency. Go to filter the currency. No, to the right. All currencies. Where it says there, and then go to BTG. No.
Oh wait.
That's BTC. Type in
Yeah.
Let's see. There you go. Select that, and then all of them is going to pop up here. Then you can select all. Yep. And then go. But it doesn't allow you to change it.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Interesting. There must be a way. It has to be.
I would hope. Yeah. Or this is a glitch that they'll hopefully fix for next year.
Go down. It says ignore. No, it gives you options at the very bottom of your screen where it says delete, ignore, something else. I don't.
So delete, ignore. It says 10 selected here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So if we looked at, yeah.
So it doesn't allow you to do it while you're selected, though. That's interesting. Yeah.
See, now here I just sent the BTG to Exodus, and it's saying it's categorizing that as a loss. It's like, well, I just transferred it. I didn't sell it. So
that's where you have to correct it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that would be, if we change that.
But you're right. There must be a way to actually change or be able to edit all of them at the same time.
I would hope so. My gosh. Now this isn't. Donation, none of these don't cover what it is when if
Right.
it's just a
Yeah.
transfer.
Yeah. So we may be talking about, limitations that we see in these programs.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, this is the first year I saw this one, and I'm a crypto.com customer, so I got their email saying, hey, use our tool and use it with any exchange, which is great. So but these are the kind of things we've got to go through to
Right.
do it. And they'll allow you to generate this form 8949, which is what you want to include with your tax return. Now, last year I had so many, and my tax person said, okay, we'll just summarize the all the info and put it like on one line. And I'm like, well, great, because there was literally, I think, 270 pages or something like
Yep.
that. It was a
So
lot.
I had the same kind of thing happen to me with CoinLedger, and they only give you the IRS forms, and they fill them out for you, but they also give you spreadsheets. And what my tax person did was actually take this spreadsheet, the Excel spreadsheet, and actually make it to a PDF form, and then attach it. So if they want to go through all of them, that's good. But if they don't, then they have them.
Okay, now that would have been a solution for my issue last year, because when my tax person told me that, I said, okay, what if they have questions about these, or whatever? And then she said, well, if they ask, you can just supply the information. And I'm like, I don't really like that answer, because I want to do everything now. This is the year it happened. This is what I'm thinking of. I don't want it to come up in 4 years and like go back or whatever.
Yep.
So I discovered, and the issue with the way she was doing it is she was filing my return electronically, kind of the standard one. And your part about doing the PDF would have worked, because I said, well, I have these printouts, I can, send in, because they were like this form 8949. And so I discovered there's a way to submit paper documents with an or for an electronically filed return. So there's a form, you go somewhere and you fill out this form, and it says, which return you're doing, which forms you're including. You put that on as like a cover page, and then you submit all those 260 pages or whatever I had. And so I sent those via priority mail to like someplace in Texas. It's like a depository for paper information to go with the electronically filed return. I didn't even know that existed. So that's what I did, just because I wanted to have, here's all my info. If I did something wrong, we'll talk about it, whatever.
Right.
But I didn't want to have to come up with that info 3 or 4 years later, type of thing.
See, there's a difference in the tax law when you, and this is from an IRS agent perspective, is when you try and you submit something, at least you're trying, rather than not submitting something and trying to hide something. Because when you try to hide something or don't submit something, and they find something via the exchange or something else, some other way, then you will be targeted as a subject, as opposed to a victim of your own demise. So, for example, you make a mistake, that's a mistake, as opposed to being criminal where you don't report anything. So at least you're making the effort.
Right. And that was the attitude I was taking, because going through all these things in 2 different tools, I'm looking at it going, there's got to be something I'm missing too. But I'm like looking at one, I'm looking at the other. I'm like, and all these things coming in, and there was a couple things on BNB that I did get airdropped because I did something else with a sister coin. They gave you this coin. I mean, this was happening all over the place. And so I was looking for those, and I marked them as like a gift, I think, or whatever, but just going through that, I'm thinking there's got to be something I missed, but I don't have a better tool. And I searched for I think I looked at 5 tools just to find it. So yeah. And if, if they say, hey, you missed this $1,000 of income, okay, here's the tax on that, but maybe they have better tools. Who knows? kind of
But see,
thing.
the
So,
good news about that is if you were ever to be audited, you can actually, and you get assigned an agent or you get assigned an auditor, you can actually articulate at that point what you're saying right now.
mhm.
It's just a matter of whether or not your submissions hit a red flag or not to get that far.
Yeah, yeah. And now it might be the thing in a couple more years, we'll have better tools,
Hopefully,
and then we can, theoretically go back 5 years and see what happened, what was legit, what wasn't legit, because that was the other part, those bogus tokens or whatever.
yeah,
But I didn't have those tools a year ago.
right.
So we do what we can. So good point. Let's see. It looks like Ken joined in here. Ken was asking what sites tools are best for Android or Windows. Actually, Ken, what we're talking about now is pretty much all web-based.
I missed the first 10 or 15 minutes. Like
Okay.
I put a note to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I did paste in here. Let's see, the link to our Google Doc where I'm trying to post all of the sites we're looking at, and I always have that in the description of the meeting, or the event on Meetup. If you want to jump over there, you can see.
I saw that.
basically. Okay,
I see the
good,
Google Doc. I got it open already.
good, perfect. So, okay, let's see. Let's check with hey, Dustin, you want to jump in and maybe kind of add anything that you've experienced using?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
most of my world is in DeFi. So I deal with a ton of transactions. Normally, like this year, I'm still in the middle of it, but around 14,000 transactions.
Yep.
So, I mean, most of these softwares out there fumble really bad, especially with the bridges and routers.
Oh,
So
yeah.
a lot of times it takes a little extra time just to do that. I found that on, for example, Crypto Tax Calculator, if I put in one of my MetaMask wallet addresses, for example, it'll pull all the networks, but it won't necessarily categorize the bridges and routers correctly. So it also won't always categorize when you are pulling out funds from various platforms or depositing them. It thinks it's a buy and a sell, and it'll
Right.
also change the price automatically on a withdrawal if it thinks that for example, the Ethereum gas fee is equal to that of what you pulled, because there's not like a set value when that happens. So you do have to go through and ungroup hundreds of transactions and then look up the market price again. So that lets you automatically update the market price based on the date of the transaction. So after you ungroup, you're able to do that. It's really cool, but I'll tell you, I've been working with it for a couple of years and it's got a lot of flaws. I am on the investor platform, I guess you could say.
Okay.
And I think I had to upgrade to the trader platform at one point. But it's not the cheapest of the platforms out there by any means, but I've tried Coinly and a lot of those others. And if I have complaints about Crypto Tax Calculator, they're nothing in comparison to the others when it comes to misclassifying. Bulk classifications are also very well through Crypto Tax Calculator. So you can easily like grab a page of 100 by narrowing in on certain attributes and just, bulk categorize those. Whether it be by currency, by network, by wallet. It's pretty simple. It's just that I have so many transactions. I think if somebody didn't have as many transactions as me and maybe could go into the hobbyist, it would probably be a lot better for them. It just gets hard when you're dealing with, like, I think I transacted on 10 blockchains last year, not to mention all of the other networks like Coinbase and Crypto.com and Binance and those. It's just a lot. So I think this is good for me. I don't think that just looking at your walkthrough on those other ones, I think it would have been a disaster if I tried to use those. They just don't let you bulk categorize as easily as this one does.
Yeah, that's a great point and great feedback on that for that kind of thing. Have you looked at Zen Ledger at all?
Last year I did. I haven't looked at it this year, so I don't know what improvements they've made. It didn't work for me last year, but it could work this year. I haven't seen the improvements they've made.
Yeah, and I didn't look at it at all because I was able to get what I needed to out of coin tracking. And yeah, it brings up a good point where with the bridges and routers, if, just like cointracking.info didn't support any DeFi last year. And yeah, now I'm sure there's some that don't support the bridges and routers. Maybe next year they will, whatever. But yeah, it's crazy. But good feedback on that. Was there any networks or coins that you found that CryptoTax Calculator didn't support? Or
Yeah, only one, and that's the gasless blockchain red light finance, red light chain. They don't have gas on their platform, and they MetaMask can't figure that shit out. And so since they can't figure it out, yeah, they for whatever reason, MetaMask won't pull that wallet CVC. You can't get it from anywhere. And even the when I try to do the actual download of a file, the CSV, it won't properly pull in to this platform because it doesn't, it's like it gives an error because it's not showing gas. So I had to manually input around 500 transactions, and none of the platforms could seem to pull that one.
oh no, okay. Well, I'm glad you figured it out. Might be worth submitting a ticket or something to them saying, hey. But I know somebody last year had I don't know which platform it was, but they submitted something and it seemed like they were going to get on it pretty quick, which surprised me, but it was interesting to see. So good deal. Let's see. Oh, Michael's on. Good to have you, Michael. Let's check. Gabe, any questions or comments? I don't remember if you had gotten into these last year or not, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is all new to me because when I started trading, I thought I did maybe like 20, 30, and then I did all the calculations. It came out to 200 exchange. I was lost. So this is going to benefit me if I do purchase. I just want to get the reviews on all the tax calculation, which app to use. So I'm looking at the price and also the how many transactions per cost, along with the ease of using the app itself.
Okay, yeah, no, and that's what I was hoping to, that this meeting would help everyone with is, because we can't all go through all of them, and so sharing the feedback is the goal there. Cool. Okay, it looks like we got Mr. or Mrs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want to jump in and any thoughts or questions that you've had using these or trying to use some of them?
I am just simply here to learn. Dustin's the one that invited me, so I have muted all this.
Excellent. Well, glad to have you, and thanks, Dustin, for inviting others. Anyone's welcome, as long as they speak English, because that's enough languages for me to speak. Good deal. Michael, jump in. Have you? I think we did we talk about this stuff last year? Maybe even in person at one of the meetings.
Yeah.
I don't remember where
Yeah,
we
we
left
did.
off.
I pretty much gave up on stuff a long time ago. I'm basically just holding, although I am making individual trades, but nowhere near what these number of transactions you guys are talking about. I mean, I've made 3 or 4 transactions in Ethereum since November, and that's it. And I've got my trusty little notebook here.
Okay.
Old school, boring, 4 transactions in there. I'm up 32%. So, I mean, I'm happy with that. But when I realized that this was not like stock trading, where I might have hundreds of transactions in a year, and it was really easy for TD Waterhouse or Fidelity or whoever to break all that down and look at the bottom and go, this is what your profit loss was. When I realized that crypto wasn't that, I just began to hold. And so I'm here to learn about this, but it doesn't necessarily apply to me because I don't do a lot of transactions. I would love to, but it's just too complicated for me to wrap my brain around at this point. I mean, there's nothing that works as well as a traditional stock situation. You know, that's much easier. I bought it at 1,000. I sold it at 1,500. I made 500. I sold it at 500. I lost 500. That's it. I
Right.
report to the IRS. I made 500 or I lost 500. That's it. So this is much more complicated. So for me, I'm just learning, trying to figure out what the heck you all are talking about when it comes to this part of it.
Okay,
Not much
good.
to add.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
Hey, can I go over CoinLedger? Because I think, just to answer his question, I used to think the same thing, especially the first year when I was doing spreadsheets. I'm like, is this even worth it? But this year, well, I should say 2022, using CoinLedger, I've actually kind of turned the page where it's like, okay, now I'm kind of doing everything that it makes it easy, as opposed to doing everything that makes it hard. And I kind of know, I don't like spreadsheets, but even though every transaction or every NFT that I purchase, I put it into a spreadsheet anyway. So it's just a matter of converting that into the CoinLedger. But I was gonna, maybe it'll help if I share what my CoinLedger and and show my screen.
Yeah, and those two comments, let me just show you one thing before I unshare that coin tracking offers that might be interesting for you, or even, more beginners to use, that's you can use without even paying or anything for, is it has this dashboard of all of your coins. And so, because a lot of people like, I've got 3 exchanges and 2 wallets, and I don't know how much I have. And this will at least pull all that together and give you a screen like this showing, everything that you have. Now, it may or may not be accurate, is the other issue, but you can use it for a tool. So here, I purchased my first Oceans, which I didn't do that, that was just an airdrop or whatever. But if you run into folks that are trying to pull everything together, this can be a tool to do that as well. But yeah, let me stop sharing here, and you should be able to share now, Chris. Go ahead.
I also use CoinGecko, but not for tax purposes, but just to know all my coins and be able to see where the current, as far as what my balances are. But I enter those individually, so I also edit them as I make changes. But as
Okay.
far as CoinLedger, and I do believe, let me see 1 second, let me make sure I choose the right one. So CoinLedger allows you to have your accounts in one location. So if you look at the very top, you have import, review, tax reports. Your accounts are over here, and then anything that you're selected over here, then that's what pops up over here. I have an auto import, which is the API with Coinbase. So here we have Coinbase, and then it automatically and all I have to do is press that button right there, and it goes to my Coinbase, and I automatically downloads or uploads or whatever you want to say all my information that I've currently. The last time you can see that I did it was February 15th this year. Now I could do it again. I could do it monthly. I could wait 6 months. I could wait for a whole year, but it will automatically list everything. So I don't have to import anything. I just hit that button right there. That's what I'm talking about. So last year, I didn't really know about CoinLedger. This is really the first year, 2023 for 2022, that I basically over the year 2022, I started using CoinLedger and then putting my data and creating these APIs. So last year I did use Coinbase Pro, and as you can see, I only had 6 transactions, but it automatically inserted them, and I don't have to go back and try to figure it out. Same thing with Kraken. I have auto import. And so it's 122 transactions, and it includes staking. And they automatically input everything, and I don't have to do anything. Exodus as well. You can see that I have Exodus. I have upload files. So I actually did that myself. So I don't have an API set up, but I actually went and I did a file itself and just basically did these withdrawals, did these deposits, etc. Same thing with Uphold. You can see that I actually have an API with Uphold. And that's where I pretty much buy my XRP, and it automatically does it. Binance, you go down each one of these, and it's a give or take. You can actually do an API here as well, Binance. And so in some cases, you have FTX is a good example. I'm thankful for that. I only have 5 transactions with FTX. Missed the one on that one. So then you go down here, down to the bottom, you also have Pinex. You have an API there where this is where you have bots, and you're basically buying and trading and selling, and you're trying to, and I have, 4,922 transactions. If I was trying to insert that myself, it'd be a problem, but they have an API. The APIs are really the good, really a lifesaver, because if you had to do a lot of these transactions by hand, it would be crazy. But I also have, I'm not going to click on every one of them, but then you start getting down to the very bottom where these are all the things that I've kind of inserted myself, including unminable, meaning I was dabbling in mining with unminable, Dogecoin, BET, WaxP, and then I actually started doing wax NFTs, where maybe like where you do, and this has 2,062 transactions that I have basically changed over to like a spreadsheet where I actually have, and like I told you, I actually throughout the year when I made these purchases, I actually do these without even thinking about CoinLedger, keeping track of myself. And so like here are all the NFTs. These are basically, we had talked about this in previous Funkos. These are Funko NFTs. So then this is actually the import template for inserting the transactions from WaxP to the NFT, because every time you purchase something with crypto or sell something, including selling the NFT, it's a transaction you have to reportable, right? It's reported, and it's in the cents. So basically, look, it's not very much at all. That's WaxP, and WaxP is like cents. So it's a 0.22 WaxP, which is like a penny. It still does it automatically. And so that's just an example over here down at the bottom where these are basically things that you insert by yourself via spreadsheet. Then once you have everything in there, you go to review. And this is where you have the errors to pop up. This is all the, so you can see the transactions. They're all combined, Coinbase, PayPal, they're all together. And then if you have any errors, and believe me, I did, they would be right here to review. I can't click on it right now because I've already cleared them all. And so once you have cleared them all, and you know that you have inserted them all correctly, as much as you can, then you can go to tax report. And it loads. And so there's the 2022. You can see that, it's pretty much down, and total income was 972, 974. I haven't done anything whatsoever. Now there are some, this is interesting, because if you go to 2021, which I didn't have that, but I did insert all my payments for 2021 and 2022. I did not, that right there, beyond me. It's kind of like what you have there.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like,
no.
what happened?
But if you go to 2023 so far, and this is the other thing I was going to tell you about. I'm curious about this as well. I'm not really sure that's accurate either, but we'll see, because then down here it's all blocked out. But if you go to the report that I actually paid for
last, yeah.
then you actually have everything down here, and then you have and it has all the airdrops.
Yeah, so that would be income, right?
The mining, the staking, the income, and the total. And so and then over here you have the short term and the long term. It automatically does everything. Now I paid for this, but I also had, which I don't know if I could move it over here. Yeah, over here on the right side, and you might have to move your, like mine was in the way. Transactions, 14,486. And then here's where you click on tax report downloads and you IRS forms, tax filing software, and CSV. You can also share it with your tax professional, add tax professional. And I did, I actually downloaded each one of these forms and the spreadsheet that comes with them. There's like two, there's short-term and long-term, that had these 14,000 transactions. I put it on a thumb drive with all my other documents for my taxes. And then she was able to plug in my thumb drive, download or change over or copy the spreadsheets, print them to PDF, and then attach them to my taxes. The 2021, I did all the spreadsheets, and then it took her 4 hours to go through my spreadsheets, which I paid more with her.
Right.
Well, this time she didn't calculate any of that. I did already. Now, of course, I did pay for the and then the amounts. Let me see. So if I go back over here to 2023, which I have not paid for, it should have, and I'm trying to see where it actually has, where you can actually, how much it's going to cost. Here we go, upgrade to unlock. So let's go here. Let's move this back over. So it says upgrade, so far, based on my transactions. Now, I'm not going to do this obviously because it's not even 2023 is not even done. It's suggesting I do the hobbyist. I was looking
Right.
to see where they're listed. Let me look at the. So there's the crypto tax pricing. Unlimited is $199.
That's reasonable. Yeah, that's
That's
real
why I like.
reasonable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I
Ooh.
like the way that it breaks out the income into, it was like the mining, the
Yes.
staking and all that kind of stuff. That was nice. And it's going to be interesting because these different tools some of them do have options to work with a tax professional. And some of the way those are set up, it was almost like I ran into one 2 years ago that you as the client didn't have to pay for the service because you're just kind of getting everything ready. And this was a tool for your tax person. And maybe that tax person pays, $100 for a small or $300 for a big number of transactions report or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see which ones get kind of picked up
Chris?
by the
Yes.
Can I ask you a question about this Coin Ledger?
Yeah.
When you put your transactions in there from Coinbase Pro, does it go back to the very beginning, or how far back does it capture? I first started trading in 2017, July 2017. So would that go back to July 2017 and capture every transaction I've made since then?
As long as as long as Coinbase has it in your account, I believe that it will, and you could test it. You don't necessarily have to purchase it. That's the other thing I like about it, right? I didn't purchase the 2022 taxes and get the forms, the IRS forms, and the spreadsheet until after I inserted everything, right? So you can tinker around with it. I believe that it will, because what it does, and it went back. When I did this in 2022, not knowing, and my first purchases with Coinbase was in 2021. It actually, when I first started doing Coin Ledger, it actually went back to 2021 and grabbed everything. So my assumption is, as long as it's on your account in the history, my answer I think is yes.
Okay.
And it will only count, like I think at the very end, I showed you the total amounts. Well, it will only equate, or 2022 taxes would be, it won't count all that 2017, 2018, 2019, but for a total, it might give you, as far as long term versus short term,
Right.
you might show that, but as far as your taxes are concerned, it'll only be the year that you're talking about. But I think that it will. The APIs, I believe, if you're talking about Coinbase or you're talking about any of the other the ones that I showed you, Exodus or whatever, I think that it will show all the way back in your account. But tinker with it.
Yeah, okay, I appreciate that, because in the beginning I did, trade a little bit more and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but mostly for the last, say, 3.5, 4 years, I've pretty much I'm just holding. But I was interested to see if it would do that. I thought it might, but thanks for the update. I appreciate it. I'll check it out.
And so that's where I'm at now. I want to do the easy, right? So APIs are the easy way. And so I just stay within those rails, because doing the spreadsheets are a pain in the butt. Even though, like I said, I still do the spreadsheets for every NFT that I purchase, and I'm able to modify those now that I know how to do them, because it is a learning curve when you do these spreadsheets. I got so many tests and so many fails in the categories like you talked about, Brad. Those you have to make sure that it's a mining, and make sure that it's correctly on the spreadsheet, and then it'll tell you line number 1044 is incorrect, and then you go, okay, wait, what the hell? You have to go to that spreadsheet, fix that line. Or even I was like, okay, wait, it only accepts so many, like maybe 2,500 at a time. I'm like, okay, modify the spreadsheet, make it 1, 2, 3, and then make sure it's 2,500. It's a learning curve. I like to stay within the rails. Now I'm only buying where the APIs are effective. The less spreadsheet, the easier. Last year was a good learning curve, but I don't like learning curves. It just takes too long. So, if you do just, a lot of people say that, the Coinbase is too expensive. It's also very convenient in multiple ways, including taxes.
Yeah, let me throw in a couple of things before I forget. First of all, Michael, on the API, generally they will go all the way back to the beginning, wherever that is. you know, they need to get a cost basis for whatever you bought 3 years ago and had been sitting on, you know, kind of
Yep.
thing. I've seen somewhere, you know, and I just briefly that where there was a setting that you could maybe put in, like, you know, don't go back any further than X year or something like that. But in general, they'll grab everything. And then Chris, on Coinbase, did you get or have an option to get a 1099 from Coinbase?
I do, I think I did, but I didn't. I don't think I qualified for it, even though I bought a Bitcoin. It's what's funny is I even bought a Bitcoin last year and I didn't get a 1099 from Bitcoin or from Coinbase.
Well,
So
did you sell it on
no,
Coinbase?
I moved it to my cold wallet. I
Okay,
don't,
good,
I
good.
have not sold. I have not, and this is my caveat is I have not sold any crypto. I keep it
Right.
all.
So it's going to be real easy for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on Coinbase, I do the Coinbase debit card. So I get, you know, whatever coin pays the most each month. And then I usually convert that to Bitcoin, which becomes a taxable transaction.
Mhm.
But I clicked on their, you know, tax report or whatever. And same thing where it said, you don't qualify if you
Yep.
didn't do enough to do that. But Michael, that is becoming a thing. Like you mentioned, TD Waterhouse or whoever, you know, Schwab, all kind of work the same, where you get a 1099 or whatever report that year for what you did on their platforms. And it looks like these ones that are US based, that are complying with US laws, all that stuff, I think we will see them issuing 1099s at some point. I saw one that said they weren't going to do it till like 2024 or something. So in that case, you could theoretically just do all your trading on like Binance.us, for example. So you know, you move your coin there, you do your trading, and then you move it back to your cold wallet, your Exodus, you know, whatever. But if you do all your trading on that one platform and they can give you a 1099, you're done. And it's just as easy as using Fidelity or one of these other investment platforms kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm waiting for because, you know, if
Okay.
you make a mistake in this crypto thing, I mean, you can get slapped hard. And, you know, that's what I would worry about. I mean, especially since my cost basis is so low. I mean, I was buying Bitcoin at 2,500, 2,800. And you know, yeah, okay. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. I'm just looking forward to, you know, just seeing a nice sheet of paper that would says, okay, here's where you bought it, here's where you sold it, here's where you bought it, here's where you sold it. And it's so much more complicated now. And I don't know, maybe because there's more exchanges and there's more things that are going on and these airdrops. You guys have actually kind of scared me away from these airdrops because, you know, that's like money that gets put into your wallet that you don't even know about. And, you know, you can get hit with that if you're not careful.
Well, and then the question is it actually money? Because,
Yeah,
you know,
I don't know.
they're literally worthless coins that people kind of just made up. I mean, you know, you or I could make up some Ethereum token this afternoon, give it to somebody, and that doesn't mean it has value. But the goal is for them to, you know, come to some scam website where we connect to their wallet and drain their coins is what, you know, the intentions are. So, but those we don't have any control over because, you know, if somebody knows your address, they could send you bogus funds, they could send you real funds, whatever. But yeah, I just want to give you the heads up on that. That was coming.
And that is something that can't happen on a regular, you know, stock exchange type of thing, right? Nobody can just add money to your account without you knowing about it unless you've given them permission to do so.
On the stock exchange, right? Because although if somebody had your bank account and you know, and a routing number, they could send you a wire transfer without your permission. You know, I mean, if somebody wants to send me $1,000, you know, go for it. But with crypto, it's a little different in that there's that interaction they're trying to get you to engage in to do the fraudulent thing. And that could theoretically happen to an exchange based wallet address. but generally you're not using those in a way that the scammers see. Because what I noticed first on with Tron is when I would interacted with a Tron smart contract, that activity was like a flag that told them, hey, this is an active wallet, and then they'd send me the airdrop bogus tokens. So if you're not out there doing anything, nobody just knows your address. But I think what happens, they were watching a smart contract, and whichever wallet address interacted with that smart contract, they would airdrop to them. So yeah, it gets a little crazy. Let's check in with Ken and see if you had any questions or comments or what you're trying to work on.
I'm just here to learn. I'll probably just watch the replay from the beginning. I just got heavily involved with Nexus Ecosystems, Digibot, and Insights DeFi Trader that I'm
Okay.
trying to get involved with now. But I've been a Digibot since November. So,
Okay, and yeah, and next month we're going to talk again about trading bots. So we talk about that one. I've got a new one I've just been using for a couple of weeks here, and then Chris, I'm hoping you can talk about the is it Pionex?
Pionex, yeah.
Yeah, you could talk with us. And yeah, and that, Ken, that's where it gets interesting, because I remember when I was trading with the KuCoin trading bot at the end of 21, and it shot my number of transactions up from like 1,200 to like 23,000, because it was doing like every hour it was doing like 65 transactions. They were like for 25 cents at a time, but it was still a transaction. So
I'm using Kraken right now, pretty much primarily. I still have some funds in Binance.us. I'm gonna try to consolidate everything on the one exchange.
as long as that exchange will do what you want. And that's a good point. Even these trading bots, if you work with the right exchange, and if Kraken, for 2023, if they generate a 1099 for you, even if you do 1 billion trades using a bot, they're all on that one exchange, and they should be able to report that for you, which hopefully they would. Then you won't have to mess with one of these, or maybe you just use it to use, one of these. Well, any of them have the free small amount of transactions. You can use that to take care of like your wallet to Coinbase or little exchanges like that, or transactions.
For Insights, I
Pionex
don't
does have
really
a-
have much experience yet, but I'm gonna try to learn that today so I can get more actively involved in Insights.
Okay, good. Yeah, and we'll definitely be talking about the bots and kind of trading stuff next month. Go ahead, Chris. You're something.
For the tax purposes, though, the Pionex does have an API that makes it so much easier. I couldn't imagine because of the thousands of, like you just said, it's just per minute, per second, per day. It's thousands of transactions, because it just monitors the price and then balances, and then especially if you're doing like an ETH versus Bitcoin, and you're trying to those two, and you're trying to balance it so you can get more BTC or ETH. I couldn't imagine trying to actually hand do or Excel spreadsheet those transactions. So the API really is a savior.
For sure.
Good
For
believer in
sure.
API. I've only used Binance for maybe a total of 10 transactions. So I'm still learning how to crawl before I can walk and run.
Well, and the other thing to look out for on those when you're doing the exchange trades is keep an eye on how much they're charging per trade. So there was some that were charging like 0.1%, and then there was another one that was charging like 0.4%. I'm like, well, that's a 4 times difference. And when these bots were trying to trade and make like 1%, I'm like, okay, I made 1% on the trade, but exchange A took 0.4 of that, whereas exchange B only took 0.1. That was a huge difference in what ended up in my pocket, type of thing. So just something to be aware of between the different exchanges. And there's some that will actually give you discounted fees if you pay for the trades in their either a specific token or their native token. Like on KuCoin, if you paid for the trade, and I don't know if this is exactly the true on this one, but I've seen it in different exchanges. So like KuCoin, if you pay in KCS, they would charge you a lower amount of KCS, their token, than taking it out of your trade token type of thing.
Yeah, I also have KuCoin. That's about the only thing I have with them right now is KCS. I'm just earning money for staking that.
Okay, yeah, and they have their own trading bots on there as well, which is kind of nice because you don't have to worry about APIing the things together, for people getting started. But that's all for next month. We'll do the
So
trading
next
thing. but,
month, do you know what day you're gonna have that? It's gonna be like the second Saturday of the month.
Because of Easter, it's going to end up being the third Saturday. So I think it's actually
Okay,
the
the
15th. You can remember
15th.
that it's like tax day on the 15th.
That's good
So-
because the 8th is my wife's birthday, so I probably wouldn't be able to make it.
Yeah, and I figured with the first or whatever day, that's the beginning of kind of spring break for a lot of people. So I just tried to avoid that whole beginning and the end of the week. So we'll do it on the
Good, good,
15th. And then I actually moved our in-person at me and Ed's back to the end of the month instead of closer to the middle of the month for April. So yeah, you should hope you could both of you guys could make those on Sundays at noon when we get together there.
They'll try to make that one this coming month in
Yeah,
April.
cool. Okay. Geez, I feel like we've covered a lot. Let's circle back to Gabe. We haven't heard from you for a while. This has been a good roundtable kind of discussion. Any
No, I'm just
questions
trying
we
to-
can answer, or share a screen and show something?
No, what I was gonna say is trying to absorb which one to get. I was just gonna ask Dustin a question on crypto, since you're so familiar with.
I
all the
think
other
I think he dropped off. I
Oh, did he?
don't think
Okay.
he's
Yeah,
here.
Dustin dropped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the question I have is, I know that you guys use different apps, SendLedger and CoinTracker, same thing with you, Chris. So I'm just trying to find out which one is beneficial for me for the price, the value, and also the quantity of transactions that I'll be doing. Of course, I'm not going to be doing 10,000, something like under maybe 1,000 for beginners.
Yeah, it seems like the Coin Ledger would be the one. I mean, it's just, they all kind of do the same thing. I mean, this isn't rocket science. It's not like, you're getting a $10 bottle of wine versus a $10,000 bottle of wine kind of thing. It's just generating a report. So I would kind of go with the Coin Ledger from the pricing and then, Chris's feedback on it.
Yeah, this is it right here. As far as this is the bottom line. Well, you're trying to save money, so you want to find a place that's good and effective, and you want to save your money in the long run. So if you're only talking 1,000, then you're talking maybe $100. And so, in my opinion, you want to just go where it's cheaper and effective. And in the APIs, especially if you said you're DeFi though, right? So it might, even if you were to insert them in via spreadsheet, I think that the cheaper the better, in my opinion. So CoinLedger was really
Well,
good.
the DeFi you can do by putting in the wallet address. So, that's like it's like an API where you don't have to do the spreadsheet, because obviously you can't get a spreadsheet from your wallet address. But now, well, I just have a question though on this Coin Ledger. On the price, it says unlimited and then 199 plus, and it it's the transactions 3,000 plus. Does that mean there's like another level above that?
That's actually a good point, because I don't recall. I thought I paid $299, but I was just wondering if the price went down, because I had 14,000 transactions when I actually did it. But see, I don't know if that was last year's prices versus this year's prices, or is it the fact that I am a returning customer? I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Chris. Now, what about tech support? Because I know that there's always questions like you ran into. Who did you go to for the question? Was there any good support on that? That's
I didn't go to the support. I tried to figure it out myself. And then I found most of the issues were categories. If I didn't have it incorrectly, most of the issues were not in the APIs. So if you are only going to be doing APIs, you're golden. The issues are using the spreadsheets. And I did seek assistance whenever I was talking about NFTs. I submitted a ticket asking about NFTs, and they said that they don't have those. But see, they do have a category for NFT. So I just used that in the spreadsheet as NFT, and then I did the WAXP. And so because you're in the NFT, you're actually purchasing or selling your NFTs. So you're using cryptocurrency. They didn't have that, and they didn't really have it. Their response was, "Well, we don't support that." Well, they have a category for NFTs. I don't think that they really understood, and so I just basically did it. See, here's I want to make this other point with the IRS tax law. Like I said earlier, as long as you're trying, you're not going to get in trouble for that. They might correct it, but you're not going to get in trouble. How you're going to get in trouble is if you don't even try. If you don't even submit anything, and then you're trying to hide something. Because when you don't submit something, the perception is, the automatic perception from a law enforcement perspective is, you're trying to hide it. And so that's what's going to get you in trouble. So try. And the customer service was, I mean, they were responsive. That's good. They might not be responsive. They might not be responsive to the fact that to your liking, I guess you could say.
Well, it's good that they respond, but they may not have the right answer or the answer you wanted. But yes, if they have the NFTs in there, at least they have a way to flag them. They probably didn't know how to deal with them from a tax point. And the challenge is there is, the NFTs don't all do the same thing. I mean, the tokens is easy. You buy it and you sell it. It's like a dollar bill or a stock certificate kind of thing. But these NFTs can do different things. So they probably just didn't know how to deal with it. And hopefully, Michael, you aren't quite as gun shy in some of these things like Chris was mentioning. If you're trying to report these and trying to do it the right thing, hopefully we won't get into trouble. I mean, that's kind of been my theory too. Maybe I'm 98% accurate, but I'm trying, and maybe in 2 years I can be 100% because we have better tools, or who knows?
Well, one of the other things that's interesting is that I mined a lot of Bitcoin. I mean, and so, I have a cost basis of what the equipment cost me, right? Because I built my computers for that and the GPUs and things like that. And, so I there's nothing out there that really kind of helps with that. That's just something that you just have to have on the side, knowing what your costs were, what did it cost for the motherboard and the RAM and all the drives and all the stuff that it takes to build it. And so I do appreciate the insight that you guys have given me here today. So, but like I say, I'm just trying to keep this simple because, you guys are much more in depth in terms of all these trades and everything. I mean, there's a part of me that wants to do that, but there's also a part of me that just says it's just too complicated for me. And I just have so much going on in my world these days.
Yeah, no worries. No, that's we're here to help.
Yeah.
And even if you just use the tools to help keep track of the mining rewards, that come in as count as income, I think that would probably be helpful because, say you get a 1/10 of a ETH every week. Well, you don't know how much it costs every week, in US dollars, but the tools will be able to tell you that and generate that report, so you could report that income accurately.
Yes.
Kind of thing. So
yeah, and so it's kind of interesting, when you're mining, how do you run a cost basis on your mining?
well, that's what's nice is because is with these, it tracks the incoming rewards that you receive. That becomes income.
Well, when you say rewards, are you talking about what are you talking about specifically? Did you have actual equipment that was mining on a site and where you were group mining and
Yeah, I was in a group pool, and but I would get, say I'd get 1/10 of an Ethereum every other week or whatever. And that's what I'm calling rewards, the income that you're getting. So that I needed to record as income. And then the tools knew that, oh, okay, on March 3rd, he got 1/10 of an ETH. that was income. And then now we have a cost basis for it as well. So if a month later I sell it, you know, when it went from 200, because back then when I was mining Ethereum, it was around 200, you know, the good old
Right.
days. Then that became my cost basis. If I sold it a month later for, you know, 350 or whatever, then it would,
That was 1.5, yeah.
then
150.
it would, you know, I get the capital gains on that, and it would, so yeah, that's a good point, because it'd help on both sides of that.
It's interesting because, you know, if you mine it over a long period of time uh, before you transfer it over, I mean,
Well, how often did you receive Ethereum in your wallet address?
well, all my Ethereum was converted into Bitcoin.
Okay. So, but
So
how
all I
often?
ever got was Bitcoin. All I ever got, I mean, it was Ethereum,
Right.
or whatever coin was hot at the time. 99% of the time was Ethereum. And then it would automatically convert into Bitcoin. And then
So
so
in your wallet, what coin did you receive the very first transaction from your mining activity? What did you
Ethereum.
receive? You
it
got
was
Ethereum.
Ethereum. Yeah.
Okay. And so how often would you get that? Like once a month, once a week?
Let me see. I use Better Hash and Nice Hash. So whenever they would pay out, I mean, it would show in there daily that it would be, you know, I used to track it daily as it would go up. You know, how much was I making per day? Was I making $5 a day? Was I making 15? Was I making $25 a day?
But how often would it hit your wallet? Would you see a transaction in your wallet?
Oh,
Because I know
well,
like the pools I used.
it would just build up in the wallet that was on Better Hash or Nice Hash. And then from there, I would transfer it into my main wallet.
Oh, okay. Okay. Because the pools I use, I always put a wallet address in, and it was usually fairly regular, you know, because they'd have like a minimum that you could receive the payments like the
Yeah, it's like
10th or
0.01 or
right.
0.001 or something like that was your minimum.
And usually as long as the difficulty didn't change, you know, I got it consistently like every 8 days or whatever it was. So
Yeah, I would, there would be, I would probably pull it out every time I had, you know, 3.5 or 4% more of a
okay.
Bitcoin. I would pull that out and then, so I've got some just sitting in there since September that I haven't really touched anything because there's 7 or 17% more Bitcoin in one of these accounts that I haven't even transferred over yet.
Okay. Did they actually give you a wallet? Oh, they probably would give you a wallet address. Okay. So whenever it hit your wallet address, that's when it would become income. And then when you trade it, there's another taxable transaction. When you trade for Ethereum to
When I
Bitcoin.
transfer it?
Well, if you trade Ethereum to Bitcoin, that's a taxable transaction.
Huh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. It was just converted over. They never really mentioned that I can remember. I was just more concerned about the technical aspect of it, making sure that I was getting it right and building
Getting it. Yeah.
right.
Well, yeah.
If
And
we're working. That's what I focused on.
And see, a lot of that's a tough call because if you didn't actually have it in your wallet and it was just in their system, you know, just like all these centralized exchanges, when you're trading Ethereum to Bitcoin or Bitcoin to Litecoin or whatever, it's just a paper trade. It doesn't happen on the blockchain. You know, until you actually transfer whatever coin to your wallet address, that's actually a blockchain transaction. So they could be telling you you have this much Ethereum or this much Bitcoin or whatever in those exchanges. But to me, until you actually got it in something you controlled, it doesn't seem like it would be counted as income. Then I don't know, unless I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying.
One.
This is so freaking complicated.
Yeah,
it should be something simple and it's not.
Yeah. Well, at least
There's really no reason for it to be like this.
When you receive it in your wallet, that's got to be income. That's easy.
That's got to be when it goes in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But whether they trade it or not before to exchange it to a different one, Because I know I've seen some where they're like, you know, hey, you could mine this, but receive your payment in another coin, which kind of
Well,
sounds
that's
like.
what all these pools are like. I mean, you know, they mine whatever coin is the hottest at the time. I mean, that's what to mine was all about. Whattomine.com or
Right.
whatever.
Nope. I use it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, you know, here's the coin that's paying the most, and then it would pay that, and then the service that you're using, Better Hash, Nice Hash, they would just convert it over into whatever coin you wanted to convert it over into.
Right.
So there
Okay.
really wasn't, I didn't really have one transaction and then another transaction because I was only paid in one thing.
Okay.
It was
That does make it,
automatically converted over to Bitcoin because that's all I wanted.
yeah, that does make it easy for that. I always mined on a pool that whatever I was mining is what I received the coins in, type of thing.
Okay.
And so that's, yeah. So that was, and then if I converted it, that would be a second transaction or whatever. But yeah, what you're
That is
talking about,
because you're converting that, right?
right. And I had to send it to an exchange to convert. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
I was
trade.
being paid in Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. So
And
yours
although
is
it would
easy.
be mining
Yeah.
something else.
Right.
So,
Right.
because that's what I wanted. I mean, I just wanted to collect as many Bitcoins as I can get my paws on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing that I have a little bit of Ethereum, but that's just for trading. That I'm just using that as, and I know that's just a straight, you know, I bought one Ethereum last November, 1,300, and then I sold that at 1555, and then bought it back at 1505. I sold it at 1665 or 1670, right close to the top. I was just one time I ever did that. And then I just bought some more the other day when it dropped below 15 for my third trade. And that's
Okay.
easy to figure out because I have a cost basis, I have a sell basis, I have a profit. That's very easy to figure out.
Right.
But
Right.
that's because I've done 3 transactions in 4 months. You guys are doing 3 transactions in a half an hour.
Or in 10
That's like my
minutes. Yeah.
stock
Yeah.
trading days, you know. But
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
anyhow,
Cool. Okay.
Bradley, I always appreciate you, and Chris, thank you for the insight on the things that you brought, and the other guys too.
Yeah, no, that's great because like I said, there's too many of these for us to all, try all of them. I 5 last year was enough. And yeah, it looks like this Coin Ledger was on their website. It says they used to be CryptoTrader.tax, and I thought they had, that was the first one I ran across where they did integrate with the tax professionals. So I'm sure that'll get a little better. But yeah, a lot of these tax people, my brother's a CPA and he doesn't know crypto. He actually was on a call we had a year and a half ago and kind of talked about some of these things from a CPA's perspective. So that was good. But anyway, okay, good. Any other questions, comments before we wrap it up, guys?
Thanks for hosting, Brad.
All right, no problem. Thanks for your input, Chris, Ken, good questions.
Thanks
Gabe?
for all the support, Brad and Chris. I learned a lot. I want to watch the replay.
Good deal. Yeah, I'll try to get that uploaded and posted in the comments here by the end of the day and go from there. Okay, well, hope to see you guys here at me and Ed's in a couple weeks for our in-person, and then next month to talk about trading. So hopefully, we made some money last year, paid it in taxes. Hopefully can make more this year with some trading bots or trading tools kind of thing. So, all right, everyone, have a good rest of your day and we'll see you in a month.
Have a good
Thanks
month.
again, Brad. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.